Coming up next on the voice of Alabama politics, cannabis chaos. Also, the House passes an ethics bill. And there are two gaming choices. Choose wisely.
You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Take the red pill. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to the voice of Alabama politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, columnist and investigative reporter at APR. Welcome.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
You know, just when you thought that things couldn't get weirder or more suspicious or look more creepy, like there's backroom deals going on, Susan, a bill was put in play this last week that was supposed to fix the problems that we've been having with the Medical Cannabis Commission. Josh, you know this very well. Instead of fixing them, they put in so many loopholes for these big out-of-state companies that they might as well have driven the Brinks truck up over at the Cannabis Commission to unload all the dollars it seems like they should be getting from these big cannabis growers.
Yeah, it was, to say the least, a very interesting bill. And it really caught a lot of people by surprise. Folks who've been very involved in this process for a while, they were expecting one thing, and I think they got something completely different. I don't think that I know they got something completely different that they weren't expecting at all with some of this. And part of it is expanding the licenses. You know, they expand in every category pretty much, except for integrated licenses. They triple the number of integrated licenses available from 5 to 15, which is fine. I mean, you can let the market sort itself out, I guess. But at the same time, they take of those 15 and award 9 to the companies that have previously been awarded licenses through the flawed processes that have been disallowed by the court. And even the Cannabis Commission has said, oh, no, wait, we screwed that up. We don't need to do that. We need to come back and do it differently this time. And then it just leaves in place rules for the other 6 that apparently the first 9 don't have to follow to get their license. And it's just, it's a custom-made lawsuit.
That's what makes me think there's something hinky going on here. Because why would you award these companies that got kicked out the first 2 times, reward them again, Susan?
Well, the idea with getting the legislature involved was to take the politics out of this process. It just doubled down. I mean, seriously, you've got 9 companies here, only one of which has the $2 million performance bond. That was required of all. Now, also add to that out of the 9, you've got 1. But those other 6 are going to have that $2 million.
Yeah, the ones that haven't been selected.
Right. They haven't been. So you got 8 in there that are disqualified that now the legislature says is qualified. Excuse me, am I confused here? Is there something I'm not seeing?
The other thing is
it the legislature's job to select who gets the licenses? I don't think so.
The other thing that's crazy to me is that, the Cannabis Commission has been sued numerous times and has lost numerous times and is set to pretty much lose again. And they're trying to fight giving depositions so that the people of Alabama might know what the process was whereby they selected these companies to receive medical cannabis licenses. Well, in this bill by Senator David Sessions, they block any legal avenue for us to ever know what really happened, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, David Sessions has put his name on it, but I think pretty much everybody would tell you that David Sessions didn't have a whole lot to do with writing this thing. Or at least that's what I hear. And so I think that, that this was obvious, and he's made no bones about this. Sessions hasn't, is that this is a bill designed to get the commission out of court.
Yeah.
This was what they're trying to do. They're trying to get them out of court, and they are trying desperately to avoid these depositions.
Yeah.
And they have done so from the beginning. And, it strikes me, the thing that should worry everybody is that throughout this process, there has been this level of secrecy and backroom finagling.
Yeah.
And I won't say that it's been like a smoke-filled back room where illegal deals are taking place or whatever, but there has been a level of secrecy to the whole process that raises so many questions. It violates the Open Meetings Act pretty blatantly, although it has no teeth. So I don't know anybody that really cares about that at this point. But it does do all of those things, and that's one of the main reasons that we're in the search for a legislative fix right now, is because they've so screwed this thing up. And I got to point out that as we're going through this and we're trying to get this legislative fix, the committee meeting where the public hearing is being held wasn't streamed live to anybody, and they basically held it in the back room. What are we doing?
What they've done is move the smoky back room from the Cannabis Commission to the legislature.
Well,
it's all still there.
The thing that
nobody wants anybody to see it.
We all know from years of covering politics, if they're hiding something, this is how they do it. And if they're hiding something, really, they're probably hiding money and deals that they don't want the public to know about. I do want to move on real quick here. There was a special election or a runoff, or not a runoff, but a special primary up in District 27, basically Marshall County area, which is going to lead to Gina Ross and the Republican, the other Republican is, don't know his name. Anyway, Gina Ross and the city councilman in Arab.
Alan Miller.
What?
Alan Miller?
You could have jumped on it earlier.
Sorry, I just now
Miller.
found it. I'm sorry.
Anyway, Alan Miller are going to face off with each other, and no Democrat ran in the race. Well, the interesting thing to me, Susan, is that out of a district of about 45 to 49,000 people, only around 3,500 showed up to vote in this primary, which means that less than 10% of the people in that district will decide who is the representative from that district in Montgomery, and no Democrat even bothered to run because it's so gerrymandered. This is what's wrong with Alabama politics.
Exactly. And even in a general, we're talking about a special here. Even in a general, we think we're doing great when we get 25% turnout.
Yeah.
In a big election, this is a very systematic problem in Alabama, and gerrymandering has only made it worse.
I mean, Josh,
people, Democrats, why bother to spend their money?
Yeah, but I mean, we only got about 15 seconds here. But Josh, you and I both know that this is not representative government. This is the far right wing of the Republican Party deciding who's going to run that district.
No, it's absolutely right. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's gerrymandered for Democrats or if it's gerrymandered for Republicans. You're tamping down participation of the people, and you're ending a lot of representative government, and that's what this is all about. And you're right. It's the problem. It's the reason why we have such a legislature that is always so disconnected from the public it serves.
Yep. Well, and that's it. We're gonna have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
It's time. Time we had someone in Congress fighting for us. As Democratic leader in the State House, Anthony Daniels helped steer millions of dollars into our district, fighting to raise wages, invest in our infrastructure, and create good jobs. Now he's passed a new law, removing state taxes on overtime pay, putting more money in our pockets. It's time for Anthony Daniels for Congress. One of us for all of us.
I'm Anthony Daniels, and I approve this message.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. For years now, they've been trying to repeal and replace or to add or subtract from the Ethics Act of Alabama in 2010. When the Republicans came into office, they promised to pass the most stringent ethics reform in the United States. They did just that. But ever since Mike Hubbard, the first Republican Speaker of the House since Reconstruction, was found out to be a crook, which we were the first ones to start pointing out that he was a crook. And he was convicted and sent to prison. They gave him every pass in the world. But since then, they have tried to change the ethics law so that no one else will ever go to prison for the things that Mike Hubbard did. Now, they didn't have to worry about that really because Steve Marshall, who became the Attorney General, has fought ethics reform on every front. There was a great ethics bill that was put together by Matt Hart and Luther Strange and their team that would have done good for the state. Marshall rejected that, and ever since they've gotten worse and worse and worse. Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff that's gone on. But Representative Matt Simpson has taken it unto himself to come up with an ethics package working with all the stakeholders to have a bill that will replace and repeal the current law. It is a flawed bill. It is not a perfect bill. But it is a bill that the legislature wants and will likely pass. But I've got to say, we've tried all the other ones. It's about time we try something new.
Well, the ethics bill that currently exists does have flaws in it. I mean, I'll admit that. It's foggy on what's a principle. I mean, there's places in there where somebody can accidentally break the ethics laws without not realizing it. You know, you give a teacher a gift worth $26 instead of $25. Yes, it's got problems. I think maybe this is a little too loose of ethics, but nevertheless, this is what they want. I mean, the Republicans found out that they can't really, by passing the most stringent law ever, it was a little difficult to deal with, difficult to live with. So while it's not where I would actually like it to be, it's not as bad as it could be.
And Josh, where my feeling lies is that I think that Matt Simpson has been honest about his the process. He has listened to all the stakeholders. He's tried to take into consideration what the DAs want, what the Ethics Commission wants. But the Ethics Commission and the Attorney General's office has been absolutely ridiculous in their resistance to this. It's not because they want a better law. It's just they don't want any law. But again, that this is what the legislature wants.
Yeah, I think it's all bullshit.
Can we say that on TV now?
Yeah. Well, you can on Sunday mornings. I think it's honestly, I've said this forever. 90% of the legislature goes down to Montgomery every single session. They go in, they do their jobs, they come back home, and they never have a concern. And I'm talking about a lot of these people are business owners and do business with the state, have state contracts, have all these other things. They never have a concern about violating the Ethics Act. There are like two things in the ethics laws that probably need to be cleaned up and some better definitions put in. All right, and it would take a bill of about a paragraph and a half to do it. And listen, I don't doubt that what Matt Simpson's intentions here are at least pure on the surface, and that he wants to do a good job with this. And so I'm not necessarily dogging him. I just think the the overall attitude of the legislature to say that we can't do this, and oh my God, we're getting caught up in these things, and oh sweet Jesus, help us before we all go to prison for this, and oh by the way, could you put something in there so I could get a $500 suit every year? And that's what we've got. That's what we got in this package here, and I hate to, of all things, agree with Steve Marshall. I don't think he and I agree on a whole lot, but the op-ed that he wrote about this and pointed out some of the flaws, some of the pretty obvious flaws of this law, I think is a pretty fair point. There were some pretty fair points that were made in that op-ed in which they've taken criminal things that the public are against. I'll say that. I mean, I don't think the public actually knows what most of the things that are going on down here, but in theory they are against, and they take them from criminal to civil to make sure none of these people go to jail anymore for doing these things. And to me, it's just, you're legalizing giving politicians things to get votes.
We have, the simple thing would be that if they couldn't get a dime from anybody, they couldn't get a morsel of food from anybody. That's what it is in the U.S. Congress.
Yeah.
But they don't want that. I'm not saying that I agree with this.
No.
What I'm saying is, this is the bill they want. They've wanted it forever, and they're going to get it. And it doesn't matter who yells from the rooftops. There is no prophet in the wilderness this time. And this is these are hard facts. This is Alabama. Our politicians are more concerned about what the books are in the library than they are about what's in the ethics law that some of their friends will take advantage of to enrich themselves. That's just the hard facts.
It is. And I mean, no matter what you do, they're going to do this. They've decided this is what they want, and this is what they're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, again.
Yeah, there's only one group of people that could stop them from doing this. And that group of people are voters. And the voters are, because of the gerrymandering that we've mentioned earlier, have disengaged themselves from the political process overall. The majority of legal voters have disengaged in this state from the process, and they have no idea what the hell's going on.
Right. But that's their fault that they're disengaged.
No, I'm not saying otherwise. Well, I mean, it is to a point.
Not 100%.
Yeah, it is to a point. Yeah.
But to 100%, that is true that through gerrymandering and lack of voter participation, this is what we have. It is an imperfect bill, as are all ethics bills. But this one leaves, room to drive the truck through.
And here's the basic problem, and we see this in bill after bill after bill, one we're about to talk about here in a minute, is they leave vagaries in the laws, like what is a primary or what is a principle. And then nobody knows how to define it when it comes to putting it to law or enforcing it. So they put these vagaries in there, they don't define them, and then they end up in this situation.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Today, Montgomery is a safer city. It's time to shift the narrative and take control of our future. We're reopening community centers, remediating blight, and revitalizing neighborhoods across the city. And we're unleashing new opportunities. Over the past year, companies have invested a record-setting $2 billion in Montgomery and created 2,000 jobs. This is a new Montgomery. And together, we're reimagining the possibilities.
It's time we had someone in Congress fighting for us. As Democratic leader in the State House, Anthony Daniels helped steer millions of dollars into our district, fighting to raise wages, invest in our infrastructure, and create good jobs. Now he's passed a new law, removing state taxes on overtime pay, putting more money in our pockets. It's time for Anthony Daniels for Congress. One of us for all of us.
I'm Anthony Daniels, and I approve this message.
125 to 620. As a paramedic, you wouldn't believe the things that we've seen.
I've seen all types of horrible things.
I mean, we're there basically picking up the pieces from your worst day.
Everyone is just driving and not paying attention.
We all have the same goal. All of us want to go home alive and safe and harm nobody else in the process.
Slow down. Be careful. Care about the other people on the road. Don't be the reason that someone else doesn't go home tonight.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. And, you know, I said this before, they're more concerned about what's in library books than they are what's in the ethics bill. I had thought that the second half of the session would be much more about things that mattered to the real lives of real people in Alabama, Susan. That is not the case. Well, I was told,
you in dreamland?
I was told that by some very influential people. People I thought that knew what was going on down there.
People that should know what's going on.
Well, nobody knows anything anymore. Right?
Was a tornado going to hit the building? We're going to get all new lawmakers? I don't understand what you're talking about.
If you look at this, they have done nothing so far that helps the lives of real people get any better. But just to put the cherry on this pile of cow manure they've called a legislative session is they introduced a bill last week that would jail librarians for the content of library books, something that Alabama law right now strictly prohibits. But they want to lock up librarians because they want to control what everybody says, what they think, and what they do.
Are you surprised?
I am shocked.
Really surprised in this. I mean, and once again, like we discussed in the last segment, they want to say, well, anything obscene. Well, they don't define obscene. They don't define what that is in a book. So how does a librarian know? In fact, it goes so far as if any of these books are on display in the adult section,
right,
the library can get in trouble for this. I mean, what in the heck are we doing here?
But basically what they're talking about is they call it adult content. They're calling it adult content. But really what they're talking about, Josh, is anything that has to do with gender identity, LGBTQ issues. And they leave it so vague because half of them are so afraid that they might be considered as anti-hate. And the other half is afraid that their closet might get opened, that they just don't take a stand on rational things like they want to jail librarians, for goodness sake.
This is the consequences of electing stupid people. Listen, I don't say that to be kind of flippant. I don't say that as it is. It's true. You've elected stupid people who don't understand basic science and biology. Yeah. Okay, that's one of the biggest problems that we have in this. They don't understand the basics of what they're even talking about most of the time. And so now we're going to take a facility that is only the doors open there to allow you to come in and choose what books you would like to have.
Right.
They take in all sorts of books you've never heard of all the time from publishers all over the world. All right. They take these books in, they put them on a shelf, and you can check them out. It's your responsibility as a parent to determine what books your kids are looking at or what books your kids are checking out. If you don't want them to have them, then don't let them have the books. If you're letting them if you're dumping them at the library to hang out, which I bet your kids really love you for that. But if that's happening, that's on you, not some poor librarian that you're trying to lock up because they kept the books that you find offensive on a lower shelf where your stupid kids could reach them. You know what? Stop it.
I mean, come on, Susan. This is so broad that if you had a book in there on anatomy, they could put you in jail.
Yeah. Like I said, they don't define anything. You know, obscene. What is obscene? It has a broad definition. Yeah. So that they can just pick and choose which librarian they want to send to jail for whatever reason they make up. I mean, that's pretty much how stupid this is.
And again, I've talked to so many lawmakers that have been down there for a while and that are honest brokers. And they say this freshman class is the dumbest bunch of politicians that they have ever met. And that the reason is because everything they know about governing, they learn from Fox News or these idiots on talk radio. This is what they know about governing.
They're only there to divide.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, we know that.
It's.
Go ahead, Josh.
I just want to say one thing. It doesn't matter if we're talking about. Let's just take the most obscene thing. A porn magazine. Okay.
Yeah.
If a porn magazine is available at a library, so it's available at the library for adults to go in and pick out. If your child is going into the library so unsupervised that they can get to that and take it home with them, that's on you.
Yeah.
What are we talking about at this point?
Well, I brought that up to somebody the other day, and they said, "Well, what if they're bad parents?" You think keeping a library book away from it is going to help them be any better?
Have you heard of the internet? I mean, my God, what are we talking about here?
Hey, I want to get to something else before we check out of here. Is the gaming bill? They passed a great bill out of the House, went to the Senate. A couple of senators torpedoed it, especially that Sam Gavan guy, who's no dummy, but it's just really a pain in everybody's butt. And I got a picture of him and that guy who's accused of raping the dude and murdering him. I thought, well, that's a great photo there. They're all buddy right next to each other. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. The murdering
the murder,
and raping,
and the sodomy.
not so good.
Yeah.
But Josh, the gaming bill has a slim hope, maybe?
Maybe. It's going to go to conference, and so they're going to try to work out something. The House doesn't seem as though it's going to budge on most of what it's trying to do. And their points are well made. Their points are well popular with people. And that's the fact that the lottery that they've set up was supposed to devote some $350 to $400 million to education only purposes. That means a free college tuition for most students in the state to go to two-year colleges. And also, that includes the job training portions and job certification portions of the two-year college system as well. So you get free job training out of this thing as well. In addition to that, there was a security component to public K through 12 schools that were going to be in there too. But that has been lost in the Senate version, which takes you basically only have the lottery revenue, and they're dividing it among infrastructure, the general fund, to build a prison, and other things. And so what you're basically doing between these two bills, to boil it all down to for you here, is you're going to have the same number of gambling locations, 10. There are going to be 10 gambling casinos in this state licensed to do business. You're going to lose $800 million a year.
And that's the bottom line, and that hopefully they can work it out in conference committee. Who knows? Anyway, you've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.